morning. Taylor and I wrote this song this week for this service, so this is it. This is the very first time anyone has heard it except for us. So. Hello, how are you? It's been too long. It's hard to believe how much time has gone. I missed your company, your warm embrace, but most of all I miss the smile on your face. Though it's been a while, I want to say there never was a time when you seemed far away. Whenever I felt lonely, I'd think of you and all of the good times that we've been through. Sometimes life takes us down a road that opens our hearts to what we need to know. I know we've been apart, but don't feel blue, 'cause this journey has led me right back to you. Now that we're together once again, I remember how much it used to be your friend. So hello, how are you though it's been too long? If our friendship remains forever strong, our friendship remains forever strong.
Good morning! And thank you for a song written just for today. That was a surprise.
A little adrenaline.
Yeah, it's true. You do have an adrenaline rush now that we're interacting with people with so much more information. It's been 70 weeks. 70 Sundays since we met on site as a community. It is great to see you in the flesh. On this very warm summer morning here at Condon Park in Grass Valley, being together is the central joy and focus. With music from Catherine, Taylor, Tom, Kate, and Frank, and Steve. Oh yes, Steve, thank you. An outdoor setting by Shanti, Wendy Wernig's skillful worship associating, members of your new board as readers and leaders, a whole slew of generous volunteers organized by Shannon, and you. Welcome to everyone who's here in the pavilion, everyone who's joining by Zoom later this morning via the recording. So I'm going to invite Renee to turn the camera around, and as she pans toward you, to wave and say hello to the people who will be joining by Zoom later. You can make noise, it's okay. There we go. And for anyone who's here, who's joined in the last 16 months or so, either just before we moved to our homes or since then, I invite you just to rise if you're willing. These are folks who have... Welcome. And although it's been happening, I'm going to invite you to take a moment to greet each other in safe and simple ways from where you are, with your eyes and your faces and your voices. And I'm going to invite the people who are on Zoom also to turn on their cameras and to say hello to one another. So now's your chance to greet one another fully around you. As we planned this service, we chose music that you wouldn't necessarily need words to, or in fact that you might not even need to sing to, since singing has been one of the riskier behaviors. But since then, the idea is that outdoors with some distance, not too much singing is okay. So we're about to do Blue Boat Home, and if you know the words, feel free to sing along, but you might also consider humming and or using your body. Humming is one of those very calming activities for our neural pathways and our bodies, so maybe humming is just the right thing for you. Blue Boat Home.
Oh my gosh, I am so happy to see you this morning. My name is Wendy Werning, and I am beyond excited that I get to welcome you to the first in-person, face-to-face service in, I counted them to, 70 weeks. For those of you here, thank you for braving the heat. For those of you on Zoom, I get it. Kidding aside, as we begin to emerge from this last year plus, we might feel strange, jubilant, uncomfortable, scared, delighted, or any combination of feelings. Some of us are not ready to come back out, while others are eager to get back in the company of others. Isn't it grand that we can accommodate both? This past many months has shown me that community is even more important than I had known before. Our weekly Zoom services have anchored me like nothing else could. We work at being an inclusive and welcoming community. We talk about it pretty much every week. One of the ways I know it is working is that we have grown during this time. Even remotely, our welcome is felt. We now have new members that have never stepped into the UUCM building. What used to feel like the center of our community is relegated to the outskirts, and the center feels to me like you all. I think it is an important shift because we always have been what makes this community. We are a community that knows we are all connected in numerous ways, no matter what we look like, how old we are, who we love, or whether you join us in person or in viewing from home. We are the Unitarian Universalist community of the mountains, and we are welcome here.
I invite your new president, Pam Kaiser, to offer our chalice lighting.
So great to look out and see all these faces. You can
Right into the mic.
Okay. May the single flame we now kindle remind us that we are one, that the struggles and wounds of each of us impact us all. We grow together, we fail together. We move forward on the path only by traveling side by side. By giving ourselves to the greater whole, we find ourselves again. May this morning help us take another step along our way.
And for those at home, I invite you to light your chalice at this time as Pam lights this one. Carmen Riley of the Nisenan Task Force offers our land acknowledgement, actually out in the visible land today.
Good morning. Good morning. In our commitment to be in respectful and right relationship with the descendants of this area's indigenous people, we place a small basket of black oak acorns on our altar each week. In so doing, we remind ourselves and acknowledge that the Nisenan people are still here amongst us today, though nearly invisible, that we are on Nisenan land that was never ceded, and that the original tribal families have yet to recover from the near genocide of their people. As residents or visitors in Nisenan land, let us support the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe in efforts to stabilize their people, as well as their campaign to restore federal recognition.
And your new vice president, Gail Schultz, and continuing, thank goodness, member at large, Janet Dunstan, offer our opening words. Step 0 by Reverend Gretchen Hay.
If you had the chance to start again, to make your life from scratch, to decide what kind of person you would be, who you would love, and how, the contents of your days, your hours, what songs would you sing to yourself or with others? What prayers would you let fall from your lips urgently and with praise? With mercy or hope? What blessings would you name and share with strangers and friends?
If you could take now that first step, what journey would you begin across deserts or mountains, or would you take to the sky, which despite the bitter cold is still vast and filled with light? What work would you take? What mischief would you make? With boldness and bravery, what failure would you embrace? And what would you release? And where? In the end, would you return and call home?
In this new day, on the brink of a new year, no magic, wishing, or wondering is required, for such a chance is always available. As with the in and out of our breath, to begin now, to live like we mean it, to see with new eyes the life that is already and always available.
To respond to this gift with wonder and gratitude, to join in this partnership, to tend this flame, even when it breaks our heart, to keep showing up, to go with courage into this dawning day.
Come, let us worship together.
In other words, let us hold up for each other what is of deepest worth.
I want you two to stay up here.
Okay.
I invite the other current board members up for a commissioning and a blessing. Bob Packard, your treasurer. Renee Wiley, new member at large. She and Joe Waters swapped positions. Secretary. She swapped positions. Sharon Walters, filling a position as member at large.
There you go.
You can swing back and forth. So Frank and Catherine are going to offer our charge. I invite all the members to hear this through your voice and your heart, and for board members to listen to what's being asked of you, because I'm going to ask you at the end if you're going to agree to this.
We charge you, our circle of chosen leaders, to guide this community with love, vision, and courage, calling forth the best in us through the work that you do.
Tell us not what we want to hear, but what you know to be most honest and true.
Help us to reach inward and to reach outward, to honor and to shape this tradition.
We call you to nurture a meaningful shared ministry among us and with our minister.
We entrust you with the care and safety of our tangible and intangible resources, the gifts of our hands and of our treasure, as well as the generosity of our hearts.
We bless you and all that you do on our behalf with our love, our goodwill, and our willingness to bring our skill, knowledge, artistry, and energy to the journey we share and the mission we have named.
So, board members, do you accept this commission, this charge? If so, I invite you to say, I do, with conviction.
I do.
You have heard it. You have heard it. I invite us to clap some more in a moment, but first I invite us all to say the mission together, because this is what guides the work of the board. So you may know it, but here's a chance to repeat after me. With courageous love and a sense of wonder, we cultivate our spiritual, emotional, and intellectual strength. We cultivate our spiritual, emotional, and intellectual strength to create a world more compassionate, sustainable, and just. To create a world more compassionate, sustainable, and just. And yes, I do invite you to show your gratitude with a whole bunch of hoopla and noise. Thank you to these board members. It's a marvelous board. And Wendy has her wisdom for all ages.
You may have heard this one before. It is called A Lamp in Every Corner. Many years ago, in the land of Transylvania, in a mountain valley watered by quick rushing streams, and shadowed by great forests of beech trees. There was a village of small wooden houses with dark shingled roofs. The people in the village were of the Unitarian religion, and they wanted a church of their own. A church set on the hillside, they decided, looking down upon the village as a mother looks down upon her sleeping child. So all the people of the village labored long and hard to build themselves a church. The stonemasons hammered sharp chisels to cut great blocks of gray stone, then set the stones into stout and sturdy walls. The glaziers made tiny glass panes and fitted them neatly into the windows with leaded lines. The foresters sawed tall beech trees into enormous beams that laid the trusses for the ceiling. Then they covered the roof with close-fitting wooden shingles that wouldn't leak a drop of rain. The carpenters carved wood for a pair of wide opening doors, setting them on strong pegs so that the doors hung straight and square. A bell was brought from a faraway city, then hoisted by ropes with a heave and a hoe to the top of the tower. The weavers wove fine cloths for the altar table, cloths embroidered with flowers and edged with lace. The smiths hammered black iron into tall lampstands and hammered thin bronze into shining oil lamps. Finally, when the building of the church was done, the painting of the church could begin. The painters mixed bright colors, royal red and shimmering gold and brilliant blue, and everyone in the village, old and young, women and men, boys and girls, came to decorate their church. They painted flowers, they painted trees, they painted designs around the windows and different designs around the doors. At the end of the day, when it was finished, when their church was finally done, all of the people of the village stood back to admire it, and then to sing a song of happiness and praise. Their village had a church now, a church set on the hillside, looking down upon the village as a mother looks down upon her sleeping child. "We will eat now," announced the elders of the village, because everyone was hungry after a long day's work. "And later tonight, we will come back to pray." So the people of the village went down the hillside to their homes and their suppers, all except one little girl named Zora and her father, who stayed behind. They had brought their own bread and cheese. They ate their food slowly, sitting on the grass on the hillside and admiring their new church with its strong stone walls, its tall tower, and its magnificent bell. After they had eaten, they went back inside, opening those carved wooden doors to go into the gloriously painted sanctuary inside. "Oh, look, Father," Zora cried, running from picture to picture with her footsteps echoing off the stone walls. "See how grand?" "Yes, it is," said her father, looking around and nodding with pride. "Yes, it is." "But Father," she said suddenly, "it's not finished." "What do you mean?" "There are tall iron lampstands all along the walls, but there are no lamps. The church will be dark when the people come back." "Ah, no, little one," said her father. "The light of the church comes from the people. You shall see." He rang the bell to call the people to worship. He took his daughter by the hand and led her back outside. They waited on the grassy hillside next to their beautiful church of strong gray stone. The sun had set behind the mountains. The night was coming soon. Yet in the growing darkness, tiny points of light came from many directions and moved steadily up the hill. "Each family is entrusted with a lamp, little one," her father explained. "Each family lights their own way here." "Where is our family's lamp?" "Your mother is carrying it. She will be here soon." The many lights moved closer together, gathering into one moving stream, all headed the same way, growing larger and brighter all the time. Zora's mother arrived, bearing a burning oil lamp in her hands. The father lifted Zora so she could set the family's lamp high on its tall iron stand. All around the church, other families were doing the same. Soon, the church was ablaze with light in every corner. for all the people of the village had gathered to pray and to sing. All through the worship service, Zora watched the lights flicker and glow. She watched her family's lamp most of all. When the service was over, her father lifted her high. She took the tiny, shining bronze lamp from the stand. Its curved sides were warm and smooth in her hands. Her mother carried the lamp home with the flame lighting the way. The lamp flame lit their house when they returned home. Zora washed her face and got ready for bed by the light of the flame. "Mother," Zora began as she climbed into bed and lay down. "Yes, little one," her mother asked, tucking the red wool blanket around Zora's shoulders. "Father said the light of the church comes from its people." "Yes. But also the people take their light from the church." Over on the table by the fireplace, the shining bronze lamp was still burning. "And we have that light every day." "Yes, indeed," said her mother. "And even when we are not in church, even when the lamp is not lit, we carry the light of truth in our minds and the flame of love in our hearts to show us the right way to be. That light, the light from truth and love, will never go out." "Never?" asked Zora. "Never," said her mother. "And this bronze lamp will last for many, many years. When you are grown, we will give the bronze lamp to you. And when your children are grown, you will give the lamp to them. And all of you will carry it back and forth to church every time." "But there's only one lamp," Zora said. "So make another and let the light grow. And someday tell your children to make more lamps too. And now, good night," her mother said, and kissed Zora once on this cheek, and once on that cheek, and once on the forehead. Zora closed her eyes and drifted into dreams, while her mother looked down upon her sleeping child. The years passed. Zora grew. The bronze lamp came into her care. She kept it polished and clean, and when the bell rang out across the valley to call the people to worship, she carried the lamp back and forth to the church on the hillside, the flame always lighting her way. When the time came, she made more lamps and gave them to her children, who made more lamps and gave them to their children. And so it went on through the years, even until today. And always, the light of truth and the flame of love from that Unitarian church on the hillside continued to grow and show them and us the way.
Thank you, Wendy. I invite us to give a voice and perhaps gesture to that image of those lights gathering in streams and moving to one place. We're going to sing or gesture, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. And if you'd like, I invite you to gesture, one arm sweep the room in, gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Other room, other arm, gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in the struggle and the power. I go to a fist for the power. And then wash over yourself, Spirit, draw near.
Spirit, draw near.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Spirit, draw near.
That was awesome.
Well, it's been a long time. There's so many times on Sundays where I want to call out a question or invite a response. It's lovely to see. Last year's board met face to face in the same space only once on the very last day of the congregation year, June 30th, the very last day. That was the first time. We squeezed it in. We knew we were missing something valuable in terms of the aspects of working together, meeting solely online, which actually works pretty well for me. But even so, meeting in the same place and in 3 dimensions helped us to recognize more of what we had been missing. There's both a joy and a sadness in that. Although we can hope that the deepest part of the pandemic is behind us, moving forward is also helping us to recognize and feel more of what we didn't have, or more of what we have lost in the last year and a quarter. The time sequestered has held some important and wonderful, amazing gifts, and many kinds of important losses, including those that ripple outward from any one given loss. As part of our shared journey toward the future, as we engage the once familiar ritual of placing stones in water to mark the joys and the sorrows we carry, we invite you to pause for a moment today in this first on-site service in a long time, and to mark the losses that you have known, the friends and loved ones who've died during the time we've been at home, the memorial services held at a distance or not at all, family time, visits and trips postponed, dreams delayed or no longer available, changes in your body, changes in your spirit, personal growth that points out the need to leave something behind. Even the most welcome of changes comes with an ending, and so with its own layer of grief. Before we engage the ritual recognition of all that we carry, the ritual of placing a stone in water to represent all that we hold, all that we bring to be held, all that we seek to release, I invite you to search your heart for a moment. And if you are willing, to call out quietly to those near you some piece of what you've lost this year. The people, the possibilities whose absence touches your life today. The loss of Paul. Time with family.
Time with community.
Singing with people. Thank you. Here at the park, there are stones on the tables and more available if we need. If you are so moved, I invite you to take one of those stones into your hand, to hold it. All that you have in heart and mind, to infuse it, to bless it. I want you to surface the feelings most significant in you. And let this very solid object represent what you carry. Including not only the losses, but also your deep gratitudes and your tremendous joys, the resonances of your heart this morning. Invite people at home to find a stone, an object that has meaning. Maybe even get a bowl of water. And during the music, I invite you here who wish to bring your stone forward and to place it in the bowl of water, which has hydrogen peroxide in it, just so you know. Once again, after 70 weeks, a symbol of this community, its willingness to hold you, your willingness to hold others, and symbol also of the larger truth that holds us all. And if coming forward is not comfortable or available to you, if you'd raise your hand, and if others would help get those stones forward to the bowl. We're going to do this systematically by starting at the table over in that corner with Scotty and Beth. We're going to work down that row, and we'll come to the front of this row, and then this row. I invite you to make the travel path this path, around and back to where you're from. So during the music, I invite you to come forward and to bring your heart to this bowl. I love that metaphor of having to find the key. Which key are we going to play in now? Which key are we going to sing in now? Beautiful. Always lovely to see your faces. Oh, I've missed that.
Missed you.
Oh, thank you. For our time of meditation, this chance to focus, to surface your prayers, your thoughtfulness, I invite Bob Packard, your treasurer, and Renee Wiley, your secretary, to offer this prayer for When Words Fail by Leslie Takahashi, who serves our congregation in Walnut Creek.
This is a prayer for when words fail, for when they are not big enough or small enough to slip into the little cracks left in our hearts by life's unbearable pressures.
This is a prayer for when the biggest noun cannot know the enormity of joy, or when the most active verb is paralyzed in the face of grief unuttered, horror undescribed, or loss beyond accounting.
This is a prayer for when words, precious emblems though they are, cannot take into their embrace the hugeness of experience or the expanse of indebtedness or the many tangles of complexity and confusion.
This is a prayer for when we must sit with our breath, needing the small truths we can touch as if they were therapy for our restless hands. This is a prayer for all who have known the large void of hope, which is trauma.
This is a prayer for wounded hearts and bodies, for those whom we ought to always remember and sometimes choose to forget.
This is a prayer that begins with gratitude for what we can understand and know, and ends with humility, which reminds us that not all is ours to do.
This is a prayer for those times when words fail and all that is left is the yes and the no of it all, and our ability to let the chord of the breath lead us from this moment to the next.
This is a prayer for all who have been lost, that in our memory they might be found.
May we be the ones who make it so.
May we be the ones to make it so. And to bless this moment, the music of Tom Wernig.
Amen. Good morning, everybody. I did not write this song for today, but I think it really fits. It's called Nothing Wrong with Feeling Good. Can you guys hear me out there?
Yes.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Every time I read the paper, I hang my head. It brings me down, fills me up with dread. And I wish I could hide out in a cave. I'm walking around like I'm walking to my grave. And I turn on the radio, hear forgotten song. It takes me to a place where nothing's wrong. It gets me out of my head, puts me in my feet instead. You better take me to that place before it's too long. There's nothing wrong with feeling good, good, good. I say that's a feeling the way you should. There's nothing wrong with feeling fine. It's the cure for worries mine. There's nothing wrong with feeling good. That chorus comes back around a little while. You can sing along if you want. I know there's a heap of trouble down in Mexico. Oh, I know there's refugees, no place to go. I know there's a nasty virus on the loose, but I need a break sometimes from the news. Oh, I've been known to have me a drink or two, or 3 or 4 when the party's over too. I've been known to cut a rug, but I don't do heavy drugs, and I take the taxi home on the nights I do. There's nothing wrong with feeling good, good, good. I say that's a feel the way you should. There's nothing wrong with feeling fine. It's a cure for a worried mind. There's nothing wrong with feeling good. Oh, I don't want to keep my head down in the sand. And it's not that I don't care about my fellow man. Oh, but sometimes I feel the end is drawing near. And I'm no good to anybody if I'm paralyzed with fear. There's nothing wrong with feeling good, good, good. I say that's just feeling the way you should. There's nothing wrong with feeling fine. It's a cure for worry. There's nothing wrong with feeling good. Last chance to sing along. There's nothing wrong with feeling good, good, good. I say that's just feeling the way you should. There's nothing wrong feeling fine. It's a cure for worry. There's nothing wrong with feeling good. There's nothing wrong with feeling good.
Thank you. That was my electric guitar debut. Good one. There's nothing like a song from Tom. My reflection this morning is brief. The sermon is in your bodies, in your faces, in your eyes, in your voices this morning, in your music. Ultimately, the sermon is in your hearts, not in my words. We have shared, as Wendy mentioned, we've shared Janine Grossmeyer's story, A Lamp in Every Corner, before. And I've read it any number of times. But in preparation for this service, seeing you in my mind's eye, and this morning in my mind's eye, I was moved to tears. The image of that Transylvanian church, built lovingly and with care by people of all ages, with many kinds of gifts and skills and materials and contributions, painted in bright colors and marked with common yet personal designs. The image of those ready but empty lampstands and the darkening church as night fell. The image of those dots of light arriving over the hills, gradually streaming toward the church, each individual lamp contributing in the end to the light of that community. That is you. That is you. Not me, not the tradition, not the building. That light is generated, carried in, brought in, and shared by each of you. That's especially clear now after our unexpected life-preserving exile and as we gather this morning. One of our chalice lightings names the chalice flame as a light of truth, a light of love, a light of action, a light of harmony. That light is you together. Our Unitarian Universalist tradition is a container for it. The congregation is a place to gather it, a chalice to hold and reflect it. But the source of the light is every member and every one who contributes their light to it. It's the sum total of every generous light bearer's gift pooled together that illuminates the otherwise dark and empty building. I was in UUCM's church building when the earth quaked last week for a good long while. Mere coincidence? Or holy metaphor? I was in the sanctuary, preparing for this service, when the walls pulsed and creaked and rattled. The TV monitor that Bob Miller uses was wobbling back and forth on the table, so I studied it with my hand. And I wasn't hearing anything come crashing off shelves or walls, but I thought maybe I shouldn't be in the largest room in the building with that big ceiling above me. So I moved to the doorway just in case. Honestly, it's a marvelously apt metaphor. Me readying for our first service together after all this time in the congregation's older building, which needs some work, and about which this community will need to make some important decisions as its walls shake. The congregation owns its building outright now, but in significant ways, after these 16 months searching our hearts and our lives, you are about to build your church for a new day. You stonemasons who chisel foundations, you glaziers who ensure that light will enter from the outside, you foresters who know the demands of strong beams and trusses, you carpenters who make sure the doors welcome and open wide and true, you hoisters and ringers of the bell that calls people in and calls people to help others, you weavers and embroiderers of beauty, or the altars at which people lift up their deepest truths and to which they bring their wounds and their joys. You smiths who craft the lampstands for other people's light, and who shape compassion into shining oil lamps so that every person is invited to bring out their flame and to help illuminate the room for all. You who paint with bold, bright colors, with courage and trust. You who paint the softer subtleties, flowers and trees, the unique designs that your heart speaks. You are about to build your church, your community for the new day. And no amount of minister or tradition or history will illuminate it without you. After 16 months outside the building and discovering ourselves from our own homes, this congregation is both alive, obviously, and nascent, about to come into being. Its walls and our world have been shaken, which is a blessing in the end. What it will be now, next, and for whom is in your eyes, in your newly informed hearts, in your hands. Help it to be a place about which you cannot help but sing a song of happiness and praise. Help it be a place to which you will feel the call to carry your light again and again and again. Help it to be a place from which you know you will be able to take the light whenever you need it. That light will be available every day, no matter how far away your body. What will make it all those things? Only the bringing of your light to help illuminate that very question. What will make it all those things? A lamp in every corner of this shared, sometimes shaking sanctuary. Whenever, wherever, and however this community gathers. So may you be, anew and in your unique way. So may each of you be. Thank you for bringing your light.
Many hands make light work. We've all heard this saying. Well, our offering is like that too. Our teams, from the care team to the board, have many members to shoulder the weight of the work so that it does not become a burden. So too is our offering, a way of spreading out the work. Our ritual of offering is successful in sustaining this community because so many of us participate. Sure, we pay our pledges, but the offering is something different. I see my pledge as my membership dues, a way to steadily support our UUCM home. The offering is my way of spontaneously showing my gratitude for the hard work that goes into making these services that move me, inspire me, challenge me, and lift me up. While we're still not going to pass the basket, by now I'm sure you have all figured out a way to put dollars into the virtual basket. You may text an amount to, and I forgot to write that number down.
833579048.
Thank you, Gail. 833
579
0483.
I just did it.
Thank you. You can also use our website, www.uugrassvalley.org, or send a check to the address 246 South Church Street, Grass Valley, 95945. Or I'm going to come around with a jar, and you can drop money in that too. To mention that we're sharing this week's offering with Interfaith Food Ministry. Thank you so much for your generous gifts. Let us dedicate these offerings to supporting our community as we begin to emerge from our separate spaces into shared ones.
Thank you to our band. For those who are new, Taylor, Catherine, Kate, Steve, Tom, Frank. It was Jeff Stone who leapt into online services suddenly in March, a year and 4 months ago. Wendy gets to take us into our first outdoor service, figuring it out. First one in a long, long while. Wendy, thank you for being a fabulous worship associate this morning. Would everyone who met the other day to help plan and who volunteered this morning to get things set up, would you please rise so we can thank you, everyone who's part of helping things happen this morning. Thank you to our readers this morning and our board members. There's a heart-centered board. We will have our retreat next weekend. We'll be gathering to figure out what's coming next, to figure out what key we're going to sing in, what key we're going to play in. So I'm going to hang on to that metaphor for the year, figuring out the key. So we're about to sing "Come and Go With Me to That Land." You may know
MC.
In F.
And there you have it. It is a song, as you may know, born of the experience of enslaved people who found a way out of no way, again and again and again. So I invite you to sing it with your vision for the future, holding all our history, both the congregations, the nation's history, human history in mind, with where we are and where we can go. So when we sing about "Come and Go With Me to That Land," which is going to have peace and justice and singing, insert what's in your heart in those places too. You may want to rise, maybe, as you're willing and able. I invite us to make music together. And if singing, again, is the not comfortable thing, this song lends itself to clapping. We have non-verbal participation for each of these. This is a great one to clap along with on 2 and 4, and we'll help you know what that means.
Wait, 1 and 3. Let's do it just to mess with it.
Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm found. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. Justice, there'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. Singing, there'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land where I'm bound. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land where I'm bound. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound.
Oh, it's a Taylor-style tag. And our closing words read by remaining board member who has yet to speak in a reading today, Sharon Walters. I invite you to take in "As Far as Love Flows" by Annie Forster.
As far as our love flows, as far as our hope grows, as far as our yearning goes, we are no farther from one another.
With that knowledge that we are no farther from one another than as far as our love flows and our hope grows and our yearning goes, I invite us to share this community benediction. Probably not a wise idea to hold hands yet at the moment, although you might have a spouse. But maybe you hold your hands out. Hold your hands out. Look around. Those of you here, look around on the screen. Those of you online. Know yourself connected as we get a chance to say this in the same space again. Together, let us carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. So may it be. We'll be back on Zoom for a couple weeks again next week. Watch for updates. Meanwhile, please keep cool and care for one another.
Amen.